Theresa May has been offered a Plan C by her own backbenchers to save Brexit, but is instead betting her house on the EU renegotiating the backstop to save her own Plan B, it was revealed today. The Prime Minister faces a series of career-defining Brexit voters in the Commons from 7 p.m. tonight on a day being dubbed Super Tuesday. Hardline Tory Brexiteers including Jacob Rees-Mogg and Tory Remainers as Nicky Morgan have held secret talks for the past week to break the deadlock and try to reunite the party behind the Olive Branch plan. It would see the UK honor its £39 billion divorce payment in return for an extended Brexit transition lasting until the end of 2021. This would allow time to thrash out a free trade deal and work out an acceptable solution to the Irish border issue that would avoid hard checks. In a message on a Tory WhatsApp group, Boris Johnson described the proposed peace deal as a breakthrough, adding, "I really hope the government adopt this as soon as possible." But the Prime Minister is already said to have rebuffed it and is instead expected to tell MPs in the Commons later that she will fly to Brussels and ask them to reopen the withdrawal agreement. Today her cabinet arrived for a crunch meeting today where Remainers including Work and Pensions Secretary Amber Rudd and Justice Secretary David Gauke are expected to quit if Mrs May gets anywhere near a no-deal Brexit. It is understood Mrs May believes the EU will not resist renegotiating the move of the deal agreed last year and has a better chance of changing a single element. Sources confirmed Rees-Mogg and former Brexit Minister Steve Baker had agreed a deal with Remainers. Nicky Morgan and Stephen Hammond were involved in Plan C. But as May slapped down Boris Johnson last night after he tried to derail attempts to save her Brexit deal. In a message to Tory MPs last night, Mrs Morgan said, "This plan provides for exit from the EU on time with a new backstop, which would be acceptable indefinitely, but which incentivizes us all to reach a new future relationship." It ensures there is no need for a hard border with Ireland. The Prime Minister slapped down Boris Johnson last night after he tried to derail attempts to save her Brexit deal. In a dramatic clash, the Prime Minister rounded on her leadership rival when he openly questioned her strategy during a tense meeting of Tory MPs in the Commons. With Labour threatening to back bids to delay or even block Brexit, Mrs May appealed to her MPs for unity after months of damaging infighting, prompting Mr Johnson to openly challenge her authority. As astonished MPs looked on, the former Foreign Secretary questioned her decision to back a Commons amendment by Tory candidate Graham Brady, which would demand that Brussels find alternative arrangements to the hated Irish backstop. According to witnesses, Mr. Johnson directly challenged the PM, asking here, "What do you want, Prime Minister? What will this amendment achieve?" In a withering response, Mrs. May hit back, saying, "We won't know unless you support us, Boris."
As loyalist MPs cheered here on, she added, "I am happy to battle away, Boris, get behind me and we'll do it together." One MP said, she gave Boris some straight advice, and, frankly, he deserved it. After the clash, Tory chairman Brendan Lewis told reporters, "Boris asked a question and got a very clear answer from the PM. The clash came after Mrs. May confirmed Tory MPs would be ordered to back Sir Graham's amendment tonight, despite opposition from hardline Brexiteers in the European Research Group. Minutes earlier, ERG chairman Jacob Rees-Mogg had told journalists his members would not support Sir Graham's plan. A cabinet minister accused ERG of trying to wreck Brexit, telling the Mail, "The PM is bending over backwards to accommodate them, but they are still saying no." It is becoming clear by the day that some of them will say no to everything. They want no deal. It is unclear if the entire ERG will fall into line behind Mogg, and the group will meet again today to confirm its tactics. The DUP will also meet this morning to decide if its 10 MPs will back the amendment. Earlier, moderate MPs had warned that Brexit ultras were in danger of derailing hopes of an orderly Brexit and splitting the Conservative Party. George Freeman said, "Public patience without this is wearing dangerously thin." Former Minister Nick Boles, who is campaigning to stop a no-deal Brexit, said Sir Graham had already been shot down by hardliners who are hell-bent on a no-deal Brexit. Nothing else will do. Mrs. May's decision to face down both Mr. Johnson and the ERG is a high-risk gamble. If it succeeds, she will return to Brussels this week and claim a mandate for tearing up the Irish backstop. Sir Graham said victory would give Mrs. May enormous firepower to demand major changes from the EU through the backstop. He appealed to Mr. Johnson and other Eurosceptics to rally behind the PM and deliver Brexit. Mrs. May's chief of staff, Gavin Barwell, was later heard trying to persuade Mr. Johnson to fall into line, assuring him the PM is seeking actual change to the withdrawal agreement. The clash between Mrs. May and her biggest leadership rival came as the Lords voted by 283 to 131 for a Labour motion calling on ministers to take all appropriate steps to avoid no deal.
Sir Graham's amendment is designed to heal the Brexit rift on the Tory benches by making it clear to Brussels Mrs May's deal could pass if the EU gives ground on the issue of the Irish backstop. The backstop, which is at the heart of Tory and DUP opposition to the deal, is designed to prevent the creation of a hard border on the island of Ireland if trade talks falter. Critics fear it could leave the EU locked into a customs union against its will for years. Sir Graham's amendment requires the Northern Ireland backstop to be replaced with alternative arrangements to avoid a hard border. It commits those backing it to supporting a deal with the EU, and therefore support a withdrawal agreement subject to this change. Some Brexiteers want the proposal was a draft that could oblige them to back Mrs May's deal in return for only cosmetic changes. Mr Rees-Mogg, the Graham-Brady amendment gives conditional approval, so that is an issue. It doesn't say what it would be replaced with. And Graham has said he could live with a protocol rather than changes to the withdrawal agreement text, whereas from our point of view there needs to be changes to the text. Last night it remained unclear whether Speaker John Basso would even allow a debate and vote on Sir Graham's bid. Downing Street yesterday said the PM was willing to demand changes to the Brexit treaty signed with the EU last year, something she has previously warned is impossible. Earlier, Sir Graham said his plan would give enormous firepower to Mrs May in talks with the EU, but insisted any concessions must be legally binding. I don't think anybody is going to accept something which is just one words, he told BBC Radio 4's Today programme. Mr Yankin was among the first to go public against the plan. He told ITV News, "It's deliberately vague because it is meant to mean different things to different people. If people vote for that in expectation that some things are going to happen that do not happen, it will lead to more misunderstanding and disappointment. It won't help it all. However, there are fears that Mr Basso, who has so far shown little inclination to head the government, will kill off the plan by refusing to call it for a vote unless significant numbers of MPs signal support." So far just 8 politicians have formally added their names, and although more have indicated they will sign, other Brexiteers voiced suspicion that the amendment will just kick the can further down the road. Sir Graham said his amendment was drawn up after meetings with ministers including Mrs May, and he believed the DUP would support it. Asked if it had government backing, he said, "I hope so. I don't know so. The amendment was born out of a number of conversations I had with colleagues including members of the government, including the Prime Minister." I had also spoken to people in the DAP too, and I'm hoping that the way in which the amendment is crafted can attract that very broad support, and if we can win the vote on my amendment, then I think it gives the Prime Minister enormous firepower. Mr. Johnson set a time limit or unilateral exit could defuse the booby trap. But he also warned that meant rewriting the text of the withdrawal agreement, something the EU has so far been adamant cannot happen. Writing in the Daily Telegraph, Mr. Johnson called on the PM publicly to confirm a change of heart on the withdrawal deal. He said, "That backstop is dead, rejected by the biggest ever parliamentary majority, and that is why I hope and pray that I am right about the intentions of number 10 apostrophe." The amendments and likely outcomes comments is expected to vote tomorrow on amendments including Yvette Cooper's. The Labour MP is pictured on the Andrew Marr show on Sunday. Yvette Cooper's plan to delay Brexit if there is not a deal. What it does, forces ministers to extend Article 50 beyond March 29 to stop no deal. Whose plan? Labour's Yvette Cooper, former Tory ministers Nick Boles and Sir Oliver Ledwin. How it works: ministers lose the power to decide what is debated on February 5, which passes to backbench MPs. Ms. Cooper proposes a law forcing Mrs. May to ask for a delay on Brexit if no deal is agreed by February 26. Could it succeed? Labour will back it, and with enough voters from Tory rebels, yes. What would happen next? Mrs. May would lose control of Brexit with no deal off the table. What it does, give control over parliamentary business to MPs. Whose plan? Dominic Grieve-Coetzee, former Attorney General and ardent Remainer, and MPs who want a second referendum. How it works: government loses power over the Commons every Tuesday from February 12 to March 26, so backbench MPs could vote on Brexit. Could delay Article 50 or change the deal to include a customs union or second referendum. Could it succeed? Could pass with the support of pro-Remain Tories, Labour backing. What would happen next? A second referendum would be the most likely outcome. Sir Graham Brady's plan to fix the backstop by demanding changes from Brussels. What it does, proposes replacing the Northern Ireland backstop with alternative arrangements to avoid a hard border. Also supports leaving with a deal. Whose plan? Sir Graham Brady, chairman of the 1922 committee. How it works, allows Mrs. May to go to Brussels and say the EU must make concessions on the backstop or get rid of it.
Could it succeed? Only if selected by Speaker Basu, who could ignore it. What would happen next? Mrs. May would go to Brussels and say changing the backstop would save her deal. Dame Caroline Spellman's plan to rule out no deal. What it does, stops the UK leaving without a deal. Whose plan? Former Tory Cabinet Minister Caroline Spellman and Labour MP Jack Dromey. Could it succeed? Yes, if enough Tory rebels vote in favour. What would happen next? Mrs. May's mind bargaining chip would be gone, likely second referendum. Jeremy Corbyn's plan to fudge the vote by demanding change but hinting at a referendum. What it does, demands changes to the deal and hints at a second referendum. How it works: ministers must let Parliament discuss no deal, and proposes staying in a permanent customs union. If that fails, it suggests a second referendum. Could it succeed? Highly unlikely, because it won't win support from Tory rebels. What would happen next? A second referendum would become the most likely outcome of Brexit.